This is so great to hear. I'm very excited about the future in Oslo. I have one personal question for you. I saw that you came a little bit late, so I'm just wondering, how did you get here today?
With the bus. But it wasn't the bus that was delayed. It was my 3-year-old who kept screaming a bit too long, so I missed the one bus and I took 15 minutes later. It was me, not the bus.
It was it, okay. I was just wondering about that, if you had to use a taxi or something like that. But another question, these tramps driving around in Oslo, you haven't mentioned them. They are rigid, but they are one of Oslo's icons in history. Do we need them?
We need the trams. My favorite question. We have the metros. That is the most important to get the mass transport way. And then we have the trams, which are important, and it's the most popular transportation modus there is. And we have now decided to both replace the trams, and maybe we're discussing now to get more trams. The question is difficult. With the development of electric buses, big buses, etc., you can probably argument that it's going to be it's a cheaper way to get the same mobility as there is with trams. But at the same time, tram is loved by the politicians, it's loved by the people, and we now made the decision to upgrade it. So what we're going to have to do now is to make sure most people use the trams. Because, it's loved by the people, and for some reason, which nobody can understand, I tried to get research on that, people love everything that rolls on. If you take the bus, and it takes to the same place that the tram goes, and it's the same comfort level, people love the tram a lot more than bus. And there's no research to understand why. I never understand why, but it's the way.
Yes, there's a lot of studies.
Is it? Yes. Send it to me. You're searching for it. Okay.
Anyway, I ride my
I'm really
bike
curious.
through this. I'm a biker, and that is the challenge with the trams. But I love it too. So it's just a feeling. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Frode. That's very nice. Okay, the next speaker. We are moving on to politics. Sweden has a couple of things, maybe more, but at least a couple of things that Norway doesn't, and that we envy them. They have Evert Taube, an icon in Swedish culture, history. Then they have Alfred Nobel, who instituted the 5 Nobel Prizes. But not least, they have a national architect. We don't. And if that is not enough, she's even a landscape architect. How great isn't that? Yeah. Her responsibility is to represent high ambitions and to embody the vision of the Swedish government to create more sustainable, equal cities now and in the future. Having previously worked as a municipal architect and planner, Bjarnegård recognized the challenge that we face bringing together this holistic vision. She also leads the work of Rådet for holdbare steder, which main task is to form new political goals for architecture, form, and design. The government's overall goal for this work is to develop cities and places to be green, healthy, inclusive, and climate smart by strengthening and support municipalities in their work again. Helena will share how she's working within the field of architecture on a governmental level, providing a structure that supports planning and building in Sweden to create well-designed towns and cities. This is big tasks, Helena, so I'm looking forward to, to hear how you cope with it all. Welcome. Give her an applause.
Thank you. Oh, there's so many people here. I can't believe it. How many of you are actually landscape architects? Raise your hand. Whew. Well, God, I dropped it. I'm two. And I'm so thankful for being invited here and being able to stand here in front of you today and telling you all about the Swedish politics for architecture and design, and really how I work with it and how we work with it, and how I work with it as a landscape architect, actually, being a national architect. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it does. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the policy, the politics of designed living environment. I don't really know about the translation. The living environment, it's not really the environment that lives, you know. It's the environment where we live. The translators, I don't know, but that's what it says. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Council for Sustainable Cities and all the tasks that we have, and give you some examples of all our work. The new policy that the government decided upon in May 2018 is about architecture and design. And it's mandatory for the national level. All the national agencies, they have to work with this. And the cities, they really should work with it. And we're supposed to support the cities in doing this. It says that architecture, design, culture, heritage, and art is very important for sustainable development. And actually the policy is that wide, so it's not just about architecture. And therefore we have 4 agencies working together on a national level with this. It's Archtes, that's the National Center for Architecture and Design in Sweden. They have a big museum in Stockholm, and they're all over the country in different nodes. It's BOVERKET, where I work, the National Board of Housing, Planning and Building, and it's the Public Art Agency and the National Heritage Agency. And we all work together with this. And as a riksarchitekt, as a national architect, I'm supposed to keep this work together and tell everybody to do what they should do. We all work on this state level, and I forgot to mention the Council for Sustainable Cities. It's not just the 4 agencies working together. Really, 13 agencies were appointed to work with this goal on a state level. And at the first, I was thinking, what can they do? But then I realized that they can do so much. I just talked to Vinnova, the agency that gives out 1.6 billion crowns every year to innovation projects, just doing innovation in sustainable cities and communities. So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and if you take down a 0, you have this in euro. We all report to the government. We got our mission from the government and report to the government. And actually the person that we report to, the politician working next to the housing and planning minister, she's also a landscape architect. But the main thing that we are supposed to do is to support the cities so they can do a good job in this and really be successful in their work. The main perspective in this is that architecture really should work as an instrument, a tool to achieve societal change, to meet the societal challenges that we all know of. We should put the people in the middle, the human being in the middle, and think that all we create is about those human beings and their daily life. And we have a big responsibility there. And it's like taking the whole discussion of architecture from the facade to the people and putting people in the middle and sustainable development. So that's the perspective. Architecture in the policy is architecture on all levels. It's the city planning scale, it's the building scale, the landscape scale, interior design, down to every detail. So it really means a lot, even to us landscape architects. It deals with the challenges that we all know of, as climate, segregation, housing shortage, health equity, and so on. And the problem that we all work in pipes in the state and in the cities and so on. And we're not solving anything if we just stay in our pipes and work there. And how can architecture be used as a tool to really deal with those challenges? And the challenges, they are of course local, national, and also global. And you've seen them in every lecture today. The minister, the landscape architect, she told me, use Goal 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities, as a dock station. Use it, and if you build sustainable cities and communities, you will achieve the other goals too. It's not the whole solution, of course. Architecture cannot solve everything, but it can do a lot. How we plan our cities, if kids can take their bike to school instead of being driven in the car by their parent, there is so much we can do on this level. Of course, the Danish landscape architects and architects, they already thought of this, and they made this book. Yeah. So we're all thinking this way, and if you want some inspiration, some evidence, just look it up on the internet. My tip to you. But what does it say then, the policy for designed living environment? It says architecture and design will help to create a sustainable, equitable, and less segregated society. The architecture as a tool, as an instrument, with carefully designed living environments. Of course, it's about the environments. It's about the physical structures. It's about design. It's about the things that we work with, in which everyone is well placed to influence the development of their shared environment. It's about the process too, and how we involve people, just as the former speaker told us about. It's the government that took a decision on this, and that's really, really strong. And of course, it's mandatory to follow this in Sweden. Sustainability and quality are not made subservient to short-term financial considerations. Yeah. Think long-term to reach quality and sustainability, you could also say. And you as landscape architects, you know all of this. I don't need to explain it to you. The public sector acts as a role model. We on the state level, the cities, we need to go first and show good examples. And that's also what the business, the builders tell me when I talk to them. Can you raise your level in quality and sustainability? Yes. If the cities tell us to do so, we will do so, they said. So be very, very clear. In this policy, architecture is really wide. It's about all scales, physical environment and process, and we really should think of architecture from planning to building to managing and also activating public space, for example. A landscape architect in southern Sweden, in the Malmö region, she made this regional policy, and now the region is working with architecture on the regional scale level, according to this document. The city scale. This is Kiruna, this is northern Sweden. They're going to move a whole city. It's a mining city. They're going to move the city because of the mine. But they will also move people's memories, people's stories. And now the Public Art Agency is working with the people in Kiruna to kind of move their stories and their memories. So the human being in the middle, it's important. It's about big cities, smaller cities, cities that grow much, too much maybe, and small communities, maybe which shrink. And how can they shrink with dignity? It's about the rural areas, the national parks in Sweden, and all the visitor center made by very, very good architects. You should really go and see this. And now a lot of people really go out in the national parks that didn't go out before. It's the neighborhood scale. Maybe taking cars away, putting people there instead. I know Oslo has this very, very, very nice project on this and are very successful. It's about places as parks that you know all about. I don't need to explain it to you. It's about places as squares as Bollnäs in northern Sweden, where the red color is a district color, a color from this district that is very historical here in a modern way. And I'm sure that people in Bollnäs are very, very, very proud of this square right now. More proud than they were before it was properly designed, because then it was asphalt all over, broken asphalt. Place, the kids, playgrounds, and being able to play in the city, in all of the city. Here at Täby, child-friendly city, close to Stockholm. Oh, bad picture. You hardly see it. This is culture heritage in the middle of the countryside. It's important to our stories, for people's memories, but also the culture heritage in the towns, the building scale, and how we can add other buildings to the culture heritage that are modern, and how the buildings also are walls in the public realm, and that we have a responsibility for people and how they feel about this place. The building scale where you can get up and see over the landscape, and inside and outside, inviting people from public realm outside to public space inside. The art scale, as in Stockholm, the tsunami catastrophe monument, where landscape architects worked together with artists and people that survived. This is very, very strong for many people in summer and in winter. The art can also be used as a tool for a dialogue, as here in Umeå. Where can we sit in the future on this square? And speaking about the process, I said that architecture needs to be with you in your mind when you plan, when you build, when you manage, and maybe also when you activate the public space. Here in Gothenburg, they did the other way around. They start with activating, employing young people from all over the town. And then they build together with architects from all over the world. They built structures, placemaking projects that are going to stand there for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And a lot of people came last summer, over 100,000 people. And how they used this space inspired the landscape architects who made this sketch. And now this sketch is going to influence the detailed plan. So here's a test arena to do the other way around. Placemaking in dialogue. In Malmö, they were one of the first towns in Sweden who really invited girls in this neighborhood where the girls didn't want to go out. They couldn't go out. And they made their own place in dialogue. And now they go out. They own the place. It's theirs. Everybody can be there, but it's theirs. They still go out. Architect pedagogues in Gothenburg working with kids in the vision 250. That's tricky. All of that was, what is the policy all about? And you can see, it's a lot about landscape architecture. It's about architecture in all scales. We got this commission. We are supposed to, build and spread knowledge, build networks, make people meet, inspire each other, policy making, look over the laws, do they go in the right direction, and so on. And we do this in a lot of areas. For example, healthcare facilities. It's easy to think that, architecture, healthcare facilities, how do you build a big hospital? But when we talk to the people who work with healthcare in Sweden, they said, in the future, healthcare will take place in their home or in their neighborhood. We need to think of healthy planning in the cities. How do you make a city that really is good for your health? That's the big issue. That's the city planning level. That's the landscape level. More than the hospital level. You could do in guidance to the cities in this. Improve environments of schools and preschools. Where do you place a school in town so that the kids can go bicycling, can walk there? How is it placed there, and where are the places where you live? How does the roads go? What is the organization of the city? How do you build the building? How do you have the yard? How big is it? Do we need to put a law in Sweden that says that it's going to be so and so many square meters? Because the schoolyards are really shrinking in Sweden, and we need to look up if we need to do something with the legislation. That's one of the things that we need to do. Provide guidance to municipalities. We have talked to a lot of municipalities. They need guidance in, everything, detailed planning, how you sell land, and tell the builders to do this and this and this, and so on. And the first thing that we do is to make a guidance in architecture policies. Over 100 cities in Sweden are right now making architecture policies. They're taking this national policy, breaking it down to the local level. 100 towns in Sweden are doing that. That's a lot. Uppsala, that you saw there, they are really ahead. I talked to their park department, and they took the local policy, and they are now making their investment plan for 2020 according to this policy. So now it's going to be reality in the parks in Uppsala. Coordinate the actions of the government agencies. What do? Yeah, they build a lot. Actually, they owe 15% of Sweden's total area. 7 billion hectares of land, 7 billion square meters building area. If they just do something little in each project, a lot is going to happen. And now they are inspired and they're working on it. But of course, Sweden, the world, doesn't start at zero. I know a lot is happening here in Norway and in Sweden too. We use architecture in a tool in society, in our different countries. The greenery, ecosystem services, health, well-being, all of this. Architecture as a tool when you look at how people live. This is the Plus Energy House in Stockholm, and they got inspired by the old way of living in Sweden, when you lived on a small space in wintertime and a big space in summertime. And in the summertime, you have this veranda, you have the roof terrace, you have the garden, and so on. So they've really been working on that. The same thing in Uppsala, small apartments, big areas. Landscape architecture on the roof and on the garden, in the garden. Architecture as a tool in Malmö. Theme playgrounds in every part of the city. They're having a bus, taking the kids in preschool around. And then when they come home, they say, "Hello, parents, I want to go to that part of Malmö." "Oh, that's dangerous." "No, it's not. I was there yesterday with my preschool. Let's go there." It's an integration project. Using fossil-free materials. Having planning tools in ecosystem services, for example, or climate declarations. We're making a law at BOVERKET right now in climate declarations. This is going to affect Sweden a lot. New trends, reuse in a whole new way and upscaled. New trends, a plan in Malmö that is, really support circular economy. Architecture as a tool with schools that really make the kids learn better because of the outdoor environment. And medical facilities, as this one, researchers, landscape architects, check this out. because of the garden, because of the greenery, because of the light coming in, because of the design of the building, the patients are recovering faster than they did in the building that was there before. Architecture as a tool. We're doing it all over Sweden right now, and you're doing it too. You know, tossing the turnaround and thinking, can we do this in another way? We're doing innovations. And thinking of that this is thinking a lot of things at the same time, and that architecture should be a tool for sustainability, and it should be functional and beautiful and well-designed. Well, it's old knowledge. Vitruvius said this 2,000 years ago, and we're doing it again and again and again in new ways, in our world, with new people. If I should give you some take-home messages from our work with using architecture as a tool, I would say work together, because the future challenges are so complex. You need each other, and you need to look outside this room too. So really work together, take in knowledge in several areas. Have a holistic approach. Manage to have more than one thought in your head at the same time. Don't put one thing opposite another. Think how it combines. Can it be nature and culture at the same time? You know the answer. Yes, it can be. Building sustainable with high quality, you need to think long term. Do I need to tell you this? No, because if I say long-term landscape architecture and the economy perspective, you would say, don't forget the management economy. That's the long perspective. The ecology perspective, long-term. I can say trees. Social perspective. If you're going to build an environment, you're going to build it so people really like it, well-being, health, all of those words, and not just the people living there today. You're building for future generations. The environments that you build, that you designed, is going to stand there for maybe 100, 200 years. You have a responsibility. And I would also say, after saying all of the other, it is not sustainable if it's not well designed. If you haven't been thinking of all the functions, the sustainability, the beauty of it, it won't be sustainable. And it's very easy if you just think of, if you build a really, really, really ugly school, no one will take care of it. And you will need to build it up, tear it down and build it up again. Just that small point of view. And the things that I think you should do in your job is to build places people can be proud of for a very, very long time. Think proud. Thank you.
Thank you. So much hope.
Oh, so much hope. Oh.
Yeah. I have also a personal question for you.
Okay.
What do you do in your spare time?
What do I do in my spare time? Do I have any spare time?
That's exactly.
Oh,
No,
well.
you know the right answer
Yes.
to that. Where do you travel?
Norway.
Yes.
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 Yes. I go skiing in Norway.
Yes. Up in the mountains.
In the mountains, yes.
With fresh
That's
air.
what I do.
Yes.
Actually, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Together with my family.
Yeah.
That's our favorite spot, just being with the family in the Norwegian mountains. Yeah.
That is the
That is.
correct answer to that question.
It's true. I don't even lie. It's true. I have a cottage.
Okay, one more question. If you see 5 years ahead, because the position of a national architect in Sweden is quite new.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if you have enough political support and willingness from the politicians, even they have an architect, and also if in ahead 5 years ahead,
Yeah.
Where
Actually,
will it
we have a lot of political support on the national level, because it was 3 different ministers who wrote this policy, and the government was united when they took the decision. So we have a big support. After that, there has been an election,
Yes.
but the same people are still
Exactly.
there. And I told you we report to Elin Olsson. She's a landscape architect, and I talked to her yesterday, and she really supports us a lot. And yeah, she's a good advocate for this.
Congratulations and good luck with your work. It's
Thank
very
you.
exciting to follow from Norwegian side of the border. Okay,
Thank you.
big applause
Thank
to
you.
you, Helena. Okay, we have a